guys, in today's video I'm going to be talking all about a common cause of hair loss, traction alopecia. What is traction alopecia? Well, it's a type of hair loss due to chronic traction or stress on the hair follicles that first leads to a lot of hair breakage, and then later on down the road, if the traction forces persist, leads to weakening of the hair follicle and ultimately hair loss. Hair loss from traction alopecia is going to be most obvious around your hairline, especially in the frontal hairline, around your temples, and right in front of your ears. This is because those hairs are a lot finer, they're baby hairs, and they're more fragile and susceptible to breakage and becoming weak from those pulling forces. Traction hair loss can and does happen in all people, but it's more common in women because women style their hair in such a way that puts a lot of traction on their hair. And it's very common in African American women. It's estimated that a third of African American women suffer from traction hair loss. So if that's you, listen up. There are a variety of different hairstyles that may be contributing. Tight braids, weaves, or another issue that kind of goes alongside that in terms of your hair care habits might be if you are putting heat directly on your hair right along your hairline, that will weaken the hair, make it more susceptible to breakage, and then you have those pulling forces on the hair shaft that further contribute to hair loss in those areas. Culprit hairstyles include tight braids, ponytails, really tight slick back buns. If you're a ballet dancer, it's kind of a risk factor for traction hair loss. Also, if you have weaves, they put a lot of stress on the hair shaft and can lead to traction alopecia. Tight sponge rollers also can put a lot of stress on the hair. And if your little baby hairs are already weakened from heat styling and chemical treatments, then even hair bands like the one I wear can also put a lot of traction there and cause further breakage. And in that same vein, head wraps too can put some additional stress on those hair shafts. That's not to say though that tight braids, hair bands, things like this are completely off the table and you should never style your hair that way. But it's to make you aware that if you choose to wear your hair that way every single day, day after day after day, it's going to put a lot of stress on your hair shafts and can contribute to this problem. And with time, that can be a more stubborn problem to correct and can lead to permanent hair loss in those areas under chronic traction. So switching up your hairstyle a lot can help. Another hairstyling habit that can lead to this is using long wear hair gels, especially if this is what I used to do when I was a ballet dancer. Slicking back the hair really tight here and putting long wear hair gel in the hair. Unfortunately, a lot of those long wear hair gel products, they have a lot of alcohols in them, which are very drying on the hair shaft, end up making it more brittle and more fragile and more susceptible to breakage and becoming weak. And alongside the long wear hair gel is the way that you put it into the hair. At least for me, when I was a ballet dancer, I used to take a brush and I would brush my hair up into a ponytail and I'd keep brushing to get all the little bumps and wispies out. And I would be brushing in that hair gel. That's really hard on those baby hairs. Again, because the combination of the alcohols in the hair gel and the forces from the brush, and then you've got it pulled back really tight for however long you're going to wear your hair that way. That's a hairstyle that is a setup for traction hair loss. Traction hair loss is actually pretty insidious. It happens very slowly. Some signs of traction hair loss though are going to be if you start noticing some thinning in the frontal hairline around the temples, that's a clue. Also, if you have a hairstyle that causes you pain and leads to a headache, that's probably a red flag that you might want to rethink that hairstyle or at least not wear it very often, because with time that can obviously cause issues. If you see broken hairs, that is a red flag that you're going in the direction towards traction hair loss. And another sign of traction hair loss, especially in the early stages, is if you get little bumps in those areas of the scalp under chronic traction. They look like little whiteheads. That is due to the inflammation from that chronic pulling force on the hair. What are some things though that you can do if you start seeing some of the signs of traction hair loss? Well, take a break from the tight hairstyles. As I said, it's not so much that they're totally off the table, but it's how often that you're wearing your hair that way. You want to take a break of a few weeks at least to give your scalp some time to recover, remove some of that external force on the hair shaft. If you like wearing hair gel in your hairstyling, try and choose one that's not long wear, long lasting hold. Those tend to have more drying alcohols. Try and select one that's more moisturizing, has some more moisturizing ingredients like a jojoba seed oil, for example. That can help. And importantly, don't go to bed with the hair gel in your hair. That just exposes that hair shaft to those drying alcohols for a much longer time. And if you enjoy wearing extensions, that's fine. Just take a break from them. Don't wear them indefinitely. I don't think they should be in place for longer than 6 weeks. I'd actually discuss that with your stylist, but that's my understanding. And definitely take a break of at least 2 weeks, if not 4 weeks, an entire month off, just to give your scalp some time to recuperate and to remove some of that external traction on the hair. Yeah, we've all seen those images of celebrities getting upset when they take out their extensions and saying that they have a lot of hair breakage and whatnot. So that is an actual reality of hair extensions. They can cause traction hair loss, especially if you leave them in too long, you don't take a break from wearing them. The sew-in type of hair extensions are likely going to put even more traction on the hair. But that's not to say that the tape-in ones don't either. They too weigh down your baby hairs, and the glues and things you can actually become allergic to, and that further can cause a lot of scalp irritation and hair problems. If you've been wearing tight hairstyles for a while and you are realizing that you have a lot of traction hair loss, one thing that you might do beyond abandoning some of these, or at least taking a break from some of these hairstyles, is you might consider trying minoxidil foam. This is sold over the counter, brand name Rogaine. Rogaine, or minoxidil, it's FDA approved for pattern hair loss in both men and women. And by pattern hair loss, I'm talking about hormonal hair loss, totally different from traction alopecia. But what it can do is kind of kickstart some of the hair follicles into the growing phase and kind of get you in the direction of getting more hair growth. But what you need to realize about using that over-the-counter medication is that, yes, it will push more of your hair follicles into the growing phase and get you in the direction towards hair regrowth. But as it does that, it also pushes it also will push the hairs that are already in the growing cycle into the resting phase and then the shedding phase. So initially, you'll actually get a little bit more shedding, and that can be alarming. But that initial shedding with minoxidil is not true hair loss. It's just kind of rearranging the cycles. So when you see that, don't be alarmed. If you continue using it, eventually the hairs will be recruited into the growing phase and you'll kind of get a kickstart of hair regrowth. But that is not, first of all, that's not like FDA approved for traction hair loss. And second of all, it's not necessary in the early stages, especially so long as you've abandoned some of the tight hairstyles and you're taking a break. Things will get back on track, so to speak, on their own. Another option is to see a dermatologist in person and have a steroid shot into the scalp. It's called intralesional Kenalog. We often use for a variety of different scalp issues. And really what that does is just kind of quiet down some of that inflammation and irritation that is kind of contributing to some of the hair loss and a lot of the symptoms of discomfort and those little white head bumps. So it can be helpful. So that's pretty much everything about traction alopecia. Understand though that it's not necessarily one hairstyle, but it's kind of a combination of different hair styling habits all together done daily that really can wreak havoc on those baby hairs, especially in the frontal hairline, but also in the back of the scalp as well, where a lot of the sew-in extensions might be placed. The combination of things like heat, chemical relaxers, plus minus long hold hair gels with a lot of drying alcohols, that really can push you over the edge for traction hair loss, especially if you're doing this daily, you're going to bed at night with the long hold gels in place. It can cause a lot of problems for those baby hairs. So take a break for several weeks and kind of give your scalp some time to recuperate, and then ease back in with just kind of maybe abandoning certain aspects of the hair styling, like switching to a non-long wear gel, and not putting heat directly on the hairline and not doing the aggressive brush back technique. Okay, I did that myself as a ballet dancer. I mean, it was kind of required, so I understand. I'm very sympathetic to it. I experienced it myself. I hope these tips were helpful to you guys. Comment below and if you've suffered from this, and if you were able to get some regrowth by maybe changing up your hairstyling practices. Share your tips in the comments section. I love hearing from you guys. But I hope this video was helpful to you all. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.